Finally, a good Disney live-action movie in 2019. Great job, Mickey. Oh, thanks, Harry. I finally realized live-action Disney movies are not about replicating the originals for cash. They're about being different. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, directed by Joachim Ronning, and is the sequel to the first Maleficent, as well as the 14th Disney live-action remake overall. So, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil tells the story taking place 5 years after the events of the first Maleficent, which makes sense as this sequel is literally released 5 years after its predecessor, and Maleficent is now Aurora's adoptive mother. But after Prince Philip proposes to Aurora, she accepts, though Maleficent disapproves, and this leads to some tension between her and Aurora. And when she and Aurora go to meet the in-laws, Philip's mother, Queen Igris, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, she is secretly plotting to have Aurora and Philip's wedding, begin a war between fairies and humans, and Aurora needs to make a decision which mother figure should she stay with, Maleficent or Igris, and at the same time Maleficent, while in this war, discovers her own kind. And I'm sorry, but how the fuck does Maleficent, Mistress of Evil have a lower Rotten Tomatoes score than that shitty Lion King remake? The first Maleficent would be the most acceptable of the Disney live-action remakes, in my personal opinion. While it's not even close to the original 1959 Sleeping Beauty, at least it wasn't a total rip-off of that movie. It was, it was adding more sympathy to the character of Maleficent, like a villain redemption story, which is what I think the live action remakes should be doing. They should be giving, a different take on the story instead of the exact same thing all over again. And when I'm sure everybody rolled their eyes at the thought of a Maleficent sequel, as everybody, the majority thinks the first Maleficent is one of the worst, if not the worst, of the Disney live-action remakes. I strongly disagree there. The shitty Lion King remake is infinitely worse. And while everybody was predicting at the beginning of the year this would be the worst of the Disney live-action remakes in 2019, I was on the opposite side. I was predicting it would be the very best, and man is it the best. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil is not only stronger than the first Maleficent, but it is the best of the 14 Disney live-action remakes as a whole. There I says it. And I'm thankful that I can finally give a Disney live-action remake this year a positive review. I mentioned in my Christopher Robin review a year ago that may be the last positive review for a Disney live-action remake until this movie came along. The three strong women that lead this movie, Angelina Jolie as Maleficent, Ellie Fanning as Aurora, and Michelle Pfeiffer as Queen Igris, they are all so freaking stellar. They are absolutely the best performances of this entire movie, and they may be some of the strongest female leads in a Disney movie period, especially Angelina Jolie as Maleficent. She can do no wrong in this role, and everybody, even the people that hated the first Maleficent, admit Angelina Jolie was no contest the best part, and she is not the mistress of evil that the title makes you think. Oh no, she's still very much the protagonist of the movie, not the antagonist. And I thought she went through shit in the first movie after King Stefan betrayed her, but she goes through even more serious shit in this sequel. Her adoptive, you feel happy for her that she finally is living peacefully in the mall with her adoptive daughter, but after her adopted daughter is literally turning against her to marry into a different family. It's a complicated situation for her, and I don't blame her for being pissed. So all she wants is her daughter back, and you know that line in the trailer when she's like, "Don't ruin my morning." Well, she may say to the critics, "Don't ruin my sequel," and Ellie Fanning as Aurora, she was decent at best in the first Maleficent, but in this movie, she gives a far superior performance, and anybody who complained about her being bland in the first movie won't complain about that here. This movie will make you fall in love with Ellie Fanning's Aurora. She is being more true to herself, and she's having to make a personal decision. She wants her to be with Prince Philip, but it's leading to a war between her future mother-in-law and her adoptive mother. Finally, they are giving her a compelling storyline, and she's being consistently manipulated into betraying Maleficent by the Queen Igress. Speaking of Michelle Pfeiffer's Queen Igress, while my mum may not be the biggest Angelina Jolie fan, as she absolutely adores Michelle Pfeiffer, and Michelle Pfeiffer as Queen Igress in this movie, her character is the greatest villain I have ever seen in a Disney live-action remake. She has this extreme prejudice to fairies. Most of the other Disney live-action remake villains have fucking sucked, especially the fake Scar and Jafar, and Michael Keaton's atrocious villain in the Dumbo remake, but yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer, she's in her 60s now, and she's still as glamorous as ever. She is freaking gorgeous in this movie. She's not aged a day. There's a epic battle and throwdown in this movie. It's Game of Thrones Disney style. It's totally enthralling. Props to this sequel for being more action-packed than the first. While the first Maleficent still has nostalgic callbacks to the original Sleeping Beauty, Mistress of Evil has no nostalgic elements to it in any way, shape or form. So there's an element of surprise with this movie, unlike the other three shitty Disney live-action remakes this year, which were nothing but predictable. So I couldn't wait to see what the resolution of this movie was going to be, and what was going to happen in the following scene from start to finish. And I love the storyline with Maleficent reuniting with her own kind, and they are attempting to manipulate her into siding with them and just forgetting about and ditching Aurora. These Maleficent movies are giving the character a more of free dimension than she ever had before, and even Chitwell Ejiofor stars in this movie. He plays one of Maleficent's fairies, and while I would have liked a little more of him, he is thankfully playing a much better role than he was in the Lion King remake. So Ejiofor has starred in remakes good and bad this year alone. I wouldn't say Maleficent, Mistress of Evil is a masterpiece or anything like that. If I had to rank the Sleeping Beauty movies, the original 1959 Sleeping Beauty would still be the definitive best, and I knew the very millisecond I walked into this movie, it was never going to top that original. So, and here's why. But there is 45% of this movie where Maleficent isn't in it. I would have loved if there was just 20% more of her in it, as she is the title character. But the most disappointingly bland character in this movie is Prince Philip. And sure, he still serves narrative purpose, being Aurora's love interest and betrothed, but he's a Blandy McBland in this movie. In comparison to all of the other characters, you're like, oh wait, Prince Philip was in this movie again? I didn't even notice. He has nothing to him personality-wise. His mother is infinitely more developed than him. But overall, even with the tinier negatives, they are insignificant in comparison to all of the praises that I can give a Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. This is how you do a Disney live-action movie, and it's the one Disney live-action remake of the four to be released in 2019 that I am recommending. I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth, but it's the truth.
I give Maleficent, Mistress of Evil 4 stars out of 5. Great movie.
See, Disney, you don't need to have your live-action movies just rip off your animated classics. You can make them stand out on their own. But sadly, ladies and gentlemen, their following Disney live-action remake is one I'm not looking forward to. That shitty Lady in the Tramp remake is gonna suck. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And what do you think of Maleficent, Mistress of Evil? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'll see you next time when I rank the Disney live-action remakes. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.